Hello everyone, welcome to Anime and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In Chapter 1056 of One Piece, we had some very interesting events. With the end of this Wano arc, we will now see conflicts and bigger conflicts starting to build, because now there's just one road poneglyph left to be found. And after that, it's going to be the moment when many pirates will start going after the One Piece for real. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what we would expect for this next chapter of One Piece, being Chapter 1057. What may happen in this possible last chapter of the Wano arc, what events could still occur, and finally, what is going to be added to Luffy's fate now that we have these new revelations about his devil fruit and being Joy Boy. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a bunch of videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, or even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, we've got a break here between chapters 1056 and 1057. But with 1056, we see that most of the pending issues in Wano have been resolved. The citizens of Wano are once again happy and safe and looking to rebuild after Kaido and everything that happened with Kaido and Big Mom on Onigashima. It also looks as though they are also safe from any possible threat from the Navy and possibly other enemy pirates there in the country while they rebuild. Now recovered, Law, Luffy, and Kid and their crews are going to leave to different places since their alliance has ended. So each is going to follow their own path to find the One Piece treasure. So that they wouldn't go to the same place, Law decided to go to the northeast, Kid to go to the east, and Luffy to the southeast. Each of them now possesses a translation of their own poneglyph that was in Wano. So these three pirates knows that it only is going to take one more to find the One Piece. Kid seems to know about a possible person who could give some really important information about where the One Piece might be, saying that a man with a burn scar could help him find the treasure. And meanwhile, Luffy and Law have not really revealed their next steps. During their conversation, they mention Pluton, and Luffy states that he doesn't want this ancient weapon, which means that at least for the time being, it's going to stay in Wano. But Caribou overhears this conversation and knows what Pluton is and that Pluton is in Wano. Next, Caribou says that he needs to give this information to a certain character, but we don't know who that could be. But it could end up being a very big problem for Wano in the future, because this mysterious character may go to Wano in search of Pluton. And finally, we see that Yamato is determined to go ask Luffy for permission to be a Straw Hat, to start following the same path as Odin, which means that the next chapter could be the final closure of this Wano arc. So thinking ahead to chapter 1057, we expect that Yamato is going to go to the Straw Hats to talk to Luffy and ask to become a Straw Hat, something that Luffy is probably gonna easily accept, because Yamato has proven to be a very trustworthy ally and would also be a strong addition to the crew. Yamato helped confront his own father, which allowed the citizens of Wano to finally live their lives without worrying about the oppression of Kaido and Orochi. And it looks like we might finally have an end to all of the speculation that's been going on around the community about who would become the next Straw Hat. And it's gonna be Yamato to become a Straw Hat, and then leaves with the crew, and we'll see that Luffy, Law, and Kid each head in their own direction, as they now would be enemies, and if not enemies, at least competitors and rivals. We don't know the exact name of the islands where the Straw Hats or anybody else are going, because we did see that there was a log pose with 3 different needles, each one pointing at a different island. But it could be that on this island, they're gonna have to think of new ways of where the last remaining road poneglyph might be. While our crew searches for clues to the next road poneglyph, Shanks is gonna be in search of Bartolomeo so that he can then go and meet Luffy. And it's very likely that Oda is postponing this meeting because of the One Piece Red movie. Now, in years past and other One Piece movies, we've seen a lot of releases in, August, September. But this is going to be a really special one because this movie is about Shanks, a character that we have been craving information for a very long time. And it's also been confirmed that information in this movie could actually end up being canonical, which would allow Oda to do something very special about the meeting of Luffy and Shanks in the original manga. So it may be only after the release of the One Piece Red movie that we will finally get to see Luffy and Shanks having a meeting in which will be essential for Luffy to be able to find the last road poneglyph needed, and also maybe get crucial information about what his destiny is now that he's fully awakened his devil fruit. Another thing we could see in chapter 1057 is we could get a little bit more information about this cross-guild relationship, this alliance between Crocodile, Mihawk, and Buggy, and really maybe get some clarification about whether it's a 3-man captaincy or if it's really Buggy at the head and Crocodile and Mihawk are subordinates. So maybe we'll get a chance to better understand how everything is worked in and whether this alliance was the reason that gave Buggy the reward and also the title of Yonko. One other important piece to the puzzle of why Buggy was awarded the title of Yonko also has to deal with the fact that his company, this Cross Guild, has been setting bounties on Marines' heads. So it is not just the pirates in the world that are being hunted, but it is now the hunters who have become the hunted. And even citizens who want to go after Marines, not just pirates, can go after. So hopefully we'll get a sense of why and whether this is a bigger plan or if it's just revenge for the fact that the warlord system was dissolved. Because when something involves Buggy, you never just can tell how the story's gonna play out. After all, he is one of Oda's favorite characters, and we've seen some really crazy curveballs come with it. So however it plays out, whether this Cross Guild is going after the Navy or even looking to take down admirals, we just have to wait and see how the story plays out. So going back to another thing that happened in 1056, we saw Caribou overhearing the conversation about Pluton, and that he says that he needs to tell this information to a mysterious person, which could very well be Teach. Because after all, we know that Teach is in search of more power, and with this information, he would be able to obtain one of the most powerful things in the world, one of the 3 ancient weapons. Teach is also one of the only characters who possesses the physical ability to break Wano's border without needing Zunisha's help. After all, with his Goro Goro no Mi, Teach would be able to easily break the Great Wall that covers Wano, allowing them to fall and thus revealing Pluto. With this power in his hands, Teach could become an even greater danger, and he would also be able to see the road poneglyph that is in the underground Wano castle, thus getting more information about where the One Piece treasure might be. In chapter 1057, it may also reveal more information about what happened to Sabo. Now, we do know that he and the other revolutionaries escaped, but we don't know anything about the details. We know that he was there to free Kuma and allegedly did, but we also know that there's the situation with Cobra and Vivi. So it's possible with that special investigator that was talking to Akainu that the Navy is somehow going to try and find out what really happened in this scuffle, because it seems that there's some of the information that's being given out by the world government has not made sense and set some people to questioning what they're doing. Because as we know, during the Revelry arc, Sabo and a couple of the commanders from the Revolutionary Army used the Revelry as a cover to invade the land of Mary Joie in an attempt to rescue their companion Kuma, who had been enslaved by the world nobles. When Sabo saw what they were doing to Kuma and how much they had done, he just couldn't resist and decided to save him. And during the rescue, apparently everything was going well until Sabo and the commanders were cornered by Fujitora and Ryokugyu. As they had no other choice, they had to fight, but because they were in a place where the world nobles were, the admirals could not use all the power because they feared of hurting all of these celestial dragons during the battle. But even with this limited power, the revolutionaries could not stand against the admirals, so Sabo decided to order the commanders to retreat to the revolutionaries' hideout along with Kuma, while Sabo stayed and confronted the admirals, buying time for his comrades to escape. So Sabo stood outnumbered in front of 2 admirals while his companions fled. Now this then kinda led Oda to do a little bit of an allegation that Sabo may have died, but indeed he did end up escaping with his friends. Now, how worse the wear Sabo was after that confrontation, we don't know. So even if the idea of Sabo dying is a bit of a fake out, which, let's be honest, Oda is tempted to do and does quite often to our pleasure, it still has some information in this whole arc that doesn't make sense. And the first of which is that the world government said that Sabo took Cobra's life, who of course is the king of Alabasta, and also Vivi has disappeared. And Vivi's disappearance does bring us up to really 2 distinct possibilities. First of which is that she could have gone along with the revolutionaries during the escape, and that Cobra was killed perhaps by the admirals while he was covering her escape, or she could have been taken by the world government. After all, in Im-sama's appearance, Vivi is chosen to have her light put out. So some of these 2 organizations are involved with the disappearance of the Princess of Alabasta. And going back to the subject of King Nefertari Cobra for losing his life, because they said Sabo was responsible, we have to wonder why. Because as we clearly know, Sabo would never be able to do something like this, or would ever have the goal in mind to do that. Now, Dragon could have ordered Sabo to get Vivi out of the revelry on Cobra's request, because we don't know what the world government may have had in mind for this country. But this brings us back again to the question of why. We know that Sabo escaped, but there's still this inconsistency of information, and the Navy has apparently called in an expert at analyzing crime scenes to find out what exactly happened. This will allow Akainu to discover the information that the world government was withholding from the Navy, allowing Akainu to realize that all this time, the world government has just been manipulating information about important events. But Akainu is not going to be able to do anything about it because it's already happened, and the Navy could start losing many more important sailors because of the Cross Guild putting bounties on the sailors' heads. These bounties on Marines' heads makes them targets for not only pirates and bounty hunters, but even citizens who want to have their bounties. And this is going to leave the Navy weakened because we've seen in many places throughout our story where the Marine residents in islands are not exactly the greatest people in the world. But as the Navy is weakened, this is going to cause some serious problems for Akainu because he's not going to be able to concentrate on the main problem, which of course is going to be the world government. However, what the world government and even maybe the Marines may not expect is that the revolutionaries seem to be staging to prepare for some great battle. Now, perhaps it's something that they learned about during the revelry, or perhaps something deeper. We don't know. But there you have it, my friends. These are the possible themes that could be in our next chapter of 1057, and all of those pieces that are starting to set the stage for our wonderful and last epic battle to decide the fate of the world. So right now we have allies becoming enemies, or at least frenemies or rivals, pick your word. We also have great dangers emerging with this final saga, and we'll finally get to see the Straw Hats finding that last poneglyph that is going to lead us to this treasure. But again, there's still these huge threats ahead, and especially Teach, who's been planning something very, very big. Something that we may find out soon as he puts his plan into action. Because right now, the world of One Piece is changing. Even the Marines are being chased by pirates and bounty hunters, which means a really big battle is going to be coming. Something that could change the world of One Piece even more, maybe even physically. It could be something that's positive or negative, or kind of just a change for both sides. So in this next chapter of One Piece, we're going to continue to have these really important events laid out, and finally maybe get to see how this major conflict, this great ending battle, will start for our great series. But for right now, my friends, I'd love to know what you think about it. How do you think the Straw Hats will get that final road poneglyph? I mean, there are a lot of different ideas that have been floated around the community, but what's your favorite? Secondly, what do you think is going to be this resolution or this connection between Bartolomeo and Shanks? And do you think that this is going to actually facilitate the meeting between Shanks and Luffy? And finally, what do you think is going on with this Cross Guild? Do you think that Crocodile and Mihawk are subordinates to Buggy? Or do you think that this is more of a kind of a triple-headed, captaincy? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we bring our video to a close, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I really hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.